Have a lot of great results, so it's great to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I want to express the appreciation and admiration, not only of all Israelis, but of the Jewish people and many, many admirers around the world for your leadership of the free world, your leadership of a just cause, and the pursuit of peace and security, which you are leading in many lands, but now especially in the Middle East. We have great opportunities. The President has an extraordinary team, and I think our teams together make an extraordinary combination to meet challenges and seize opportunities. But the President has already realized great opportunities. He forged the Abraham Accords. He's forging peace as we speak in one country and one region after the other. So I want to present to you, Mr. President, the letter I sent to the Nobel Prize Committee. It's nominating you for the Peace Prize, which is well deserved, and you should get it.
Thank you very much. This I didn't know. Wow. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coming from you in particular, this is very meaningful. Thank you very much, Bibi.
Thank you. Thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you. It's a great honor.
Dan Bazarian. And this was a screenshot of this comment on X. 3:31 a.m. 7/5/25. Dan, there is no point in celebrating Independence Day until America is independent from Israel. We are an occupied nation. WW3 final boss asked KROOK, is America independent from Israel? KROOK, no, the US is not fully independent from Israel. Billions in annual aid, $8.4 billion in recent 2025 sales, and powerful lobbies like AIPAC heavily shape US foreign policy, often prioritizing Israeli interests over broader American ones, as seen in consistent UN vetoes and military support. True sovereignty requires untangling this influence, saving Israel for last. Q.
For overlooking the actual facts. All that is nonsense. Shannon, what we did in this bill is we made permanent the 2017 Trump's tax cuts, and that was geared for lower and middle class Americans, in spite of everything they said. The bottom 20% of earners saw their lowest federal tax rate in 40 years. Now we're building upon that. We just made that permanent, and we're building upon it because now we cut tax on overtime and tips and had more tax relief for seniors. And we're giving everybody a tax cut, and that's going to help the economy. It's going to be jet fuel. Small business owners, entrepreneurs, risk takers, the people that provide the jobs, manufacturers, farmers get assistance here, and that will lift the economy. The Council of Joint Economic Advisors is expecting a 3% growth rate in the economy. That will be incredible. They're expecting 4 million additional jobs to be added. The average American, the typical American household, will have $13,000 more in take-home pay. This is a great thing for people who go to work every day, and they're going to feel that, and we're excited about the upcoming election cycle in 26 because people will be riding an economic high just as we did after the first 2 years of the first Trump administration. This time it's on steroids.
Addressing the devastation from the tragic flash floods in Texas. Moments ago, the Department of Homeland Security provided an update that 91 innocent souls have now perished. Everyone here at the White House, including the President of the United States, is praying for the victims' families and friends during this unimaginable time. President Trump swiftly signed a major disaster declaration for Kerr County, Texas, to ensure our heroic first responders have every resource they need in the relief and recovery efforts. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem traveled to Texas over the weekend, and the entire Trump administration is working hand in glove with state and local officials to provide every assistance available. The situation on the ground remains dangerous, and there could be additional public safety threats with potential incoming heavy rain, so we encourage everyone in the area to remain vigilant, listen to all warnings, and respond accordingly.
As reported, and the death toll in Kern County is about 59 people. All right, so far they've said that about 59 people have died, including 21 children, with about 38 adults also confirmed dead. And in addition, about 10 more fatalities occurred elsewhere in the region. So according to the news, we are told that at Camp Mystic, right, which was an all-girls summer camp on the river, did suffer several fatalities. Okay, so as the reports came in, 11 girls and one counselor remain missing, and I'll tell you guys why. All right, why they are missing from the site. Over 850 people were rescued with massive response efforts involving local responders, helicopters, drones, and federal agencies, including, of course, those that are associated with the alliance, because FEMA didn't do anything. When does FEMA do anything when catastrophes like this happen? And of course, the U.S. Coast Guard. So, this occurred on July 4th in Kerr County, Texas. And on the surface, it was supposed to be just another holiday weekend, right? Fireworks, barbecues, and laughter on the riverbanks. But underground, beneath the winding channels of the Guadalupe River, lay Site Echo, a data vault hidden since the Reagan era. It held encrypted archives linked to Project Orion, and I'll explain a little bit what Project Orion was, Operation Blacklight, and names long buried under celebrity personas that were associated with Combs, Diddy, Epstein, and then, of course, more information regarding the corruption that has been conducted by the Black Cube organization and group Groom Lake. Okay, so that night the sky opened unnaturally fast. Apparently, unmarked vans had been spotted near Camp Avalon and Camp Mystic 3 hours before the first emergency alert. Locals dismissed them as supply vehicles until they vanished. Then, of course, the storm struck. So this was apparently a deep state operation, right? Clouds spiraled in impossible patterns. Rain fell not in sheets, but in walls. And what followed wasn't just weather, it was deployment, okay? A high altitude pressure weapon. They call it weather modification, right? Long denied by the Defense Meteorological Agency, had fired over south central Texas. And then witnesses said that the lightning flash was blue and not white, which tells you it was fabricated, okay? So it looks less than 7 hours. So it took less, than 7 hours to breach the vault. The floodwaters didn't just kill it, they targeted. Apparently, the White Hats were using an underground facility in that area. In addition to Cheyenne Mountain, that was one of their, you could say, main strongholds, which was attacked by the deep state. And as we dive deeper, guys, okay, let's dive deeper into what's really happening right now and why they did that, okay? So the storm wasn't just an act of nature, okay? It was a calculated, deliberate event orchestrated using weather modification technology to disseminate more than just the land. It targeted the hidden truths that were actually buried beneath, okay? And so by the time the floodwaters began to recede, the foundations of the Site Echo were already lost. Submerged beneath the rolling currents of the Guadalupe River, the flood, a direct result of a weather modification system that had been in operation for over a decade, okay, was no accident. It was a cover-up, an intentional purge of classified data that would bring down the global elite, okay? So at the heart of the facility were files, not just documents, right? And this explains why Trump said that there are no files, okay? That there were no, nothing linked to the Jeffrey Epstein. But that is not the case, okay? Because that is not the real Trump. Again, the real Trump is operating from Cheyenne Mountain, okay? So they not only destroyed files, right, but entire databases that held secrets to the world's most influential and dangerous people, including those that were associated with Diddy, Epstein, and of course the cabal of high society, and their most carefully guarded transactions, okay? And a lot of that information involved blackmailing, transferring of little ones, right? And crimes beyond comprehension that were, again, stored there, and that the storm was meant to wash them, I guess, so that the alliance does not disclose this to the public. But unfortunately for the cabal, we have this thing called the Galactic Alliance that works with the Earth Alliance. They have all the documents as well, stored up in, of course, galactic ships. So this does not mean that the evidence that is going to disclose the truth about what's been going on, the truth about the corruption isn't happening anymore, okay? They only destroyed the physical evidence that the Y hats had stored in their underground facility there, okay? But the Galactics have duplicates, okay? And one thing that also took place, okay, there was a straight out battle that took place, okay? Some of the Y hats that were operating there resisted what was happening. Unfortunately, some of them did die in the flood. A covert faction of insiders who spent years leaking the secrets of the powerful had long suspected something like this would happen, and they just didn't know when, okay? And so as the first helicopter lights scanned the submerged remains of the site Echo, one of the Y hats, by the code name Agent Rock, or Agent Rook, R-O-O-K, code name, of course, watched in disbelief as his team scoured the debris, okay? No, he actually, the best way to say it is this. So as his team were able to look through the debris, he muttered under his breath that this can't be happening, that this is, we're too late. They couldn't save the documents from being flooded, okay, and being destroyed. So Rook, the Y hat agent, Rook, had known that the flood was coming, okay? He actually had seen the signals in the cloud patterns and was briefed on the deployment of the weaponized weather from the last minute intel he received, okay? But what he didn't anticipate was the timing, okay? The flood had come faster than anyone expected. They haven't even had time to secure all the data. And so in the moments before the storm broke, his team had actually been able to remotely access some of the files, decrypting key codes, retrieving a portion of the Epstein network files, but they hadn't known about the children at the camps and not the ones that they were planning to take. And yes, there is reports that a lot of vans showed up right before the flooding of those camps, and that explains why 21 children were all of a sudden missing, okay? So let's talk about the lost children at Camp Mystic. So at Camp Mystic, a girl camp that was perched on the river's edge had been an innocuous summer retreat until now, but what no one realized was that it was actually the perfect cover for a much darker operation. Vans had actually arrived long before the storm broke, and they weren't just camp supply trucks. They weren't emergency vehicles either, right? They were actually black op units, disguised as rescue teams, ready to sweep in and abduct the young girls, unfortunately. Those who could be traced to the missing files that were tied to the Black Cube, the shadow organization that had orchestrated the Epstein network for years, okay? So apparently, the shadowy organization that has been hiding the truth about the Epstein files was known as the Black Cube, okay? So there are code names for this. And they weren't the only ones, okay? Again, the Galactic Alliance, which is an interdimensional faction that had been silently working with the Y-Hats for years, had their own interests in the mission, and because they do see what happens before it happens, they were able to actually make copies out of those documents, okay? So you could say that these corrupt elites using blackmail and using to control governments and powerful figures were actually part of a greater evil that transcended Earth, okay? So this explains why humanity's governments for centuries were actually controlled by off-world entities, okay? And the reason the Galactic Alliance needed to create duplicates, knowing that this day would happen, was because of the cosmic balance that these files actually threaten. Okay, if these files are not released, all right, it's going to cause, you could say, it's going to cause a disbalance in future timelines. So that is the reason why the Galactic Alliance had to intervene. And so their goal, the dark side, the cabal, what's left of them, their goal was to erase the memory of their crimes, destroy evidence of their dealings, and silence anyone who could actually expose them. So the flood was the perfect way to bury it, okay? And along with the evidence, the children and the revolutionaries who sought to topple the system were actually, again, some of the Whiteheads suffered casualties, okay? So let's just say it like this. There was a resistance, okay? There was a battle that took place beneath the waters. So far below the surface of the flood, the Whiteheads fought a war of their own, and they were not only fighting against time, but also against a well-orchestrated blackout protocol that would erase all traces of the flood's real purpose. So the Galactic Alliance, with its fleet of benevolent ships, hovered over the wreckage, scanning of course, the waters, the wreckage. The commander in charge of this was known as Commander Lysa, Lysa, who is a liaison between the Earth Resistance and the Pleiadian Council. She's the one who actually coordinated with the Whiteheads because she knew where the files were, right? And she knew that they were also gone, but they also replicated them. Again, the Galactics were able to replicate the files so that we could have an exposure of the elites, okay? So apparently they were hidden, they were encrypted, and they were waiting to be retrieved, but only within the right kind of technology, okay? And this is where the Galactics come into play. So the Whitehead agent by the name of Rook had only one chance. If he didn't act then, right, they would lose everything, right? The children, the data, the future. And so the storm has not been an isolated event. It was actually the beginning of a much larger operation, one that the Whiteheads and the Galactic Alliance have been trying to prevent for years. So the flood was designed not only to wipe out the evidence, but also to trap the Whiteheads that were operating in that underground facility. And some of them, of course, drowned in the underground chambers, unable to escape in time, their bodies lost beneath the currents, okay? So the flood had been controlled. It was all masterminded, right? But it had also backfired because of the Galactic Alliance, okay? Fortunately for us, the Galactic Alliance had been monitoring the rise of this, you could say, agenda for years, waiting for the right moment to intervene, and that moment did come, okay? Because they were able to duplicate the files. So the Epstein files, the Diddy files are going to be released thanks to the Galactic Alliance.
To permit man to determine the world's cloud layer and ultimately to control the weather, and he who controls the weather will control the world.
I know there's at least one or two people that can't stand Mike Bara. At the end of the day, he's just a messenger. But also, he has the context, and a lot of people want to hear, what do you know that you can tell us? Focus on your frequency. If this intel from Mike upsets you, fast forward. Because at this stage, what's coming through in your message is coming through as hateful. I don't know whether it's hateful or whether you just dislike the guy. But stating to not show any intel from Mike is lowering your frequency and also lowering the frequency of others. At the end of the day, also, Mike Bara has a huge following on Telegram, YouTube, and Rumble. He's also an author of Alien, author of not sure how many books, but still, that's a great achievement. Also, he was a Boeing engineer. So I'm just going to say, just focus on your frequency. Because at the end of the day, also, because the fact that you're awake and that you have purchased currencies God chose you. Out of your family who are probably still asleep like mine, God chose you for a particular reason. And it is important also to note, if you have humanitarian projects and if you purchase the ZIM, you're going to have a meeting with the Alliance military and you want them to exchange your ZIM, redeem your ZIM. And your frequency is going to be scanned, so you just want to be able to focus on love. But anyway, at the end of the day, as I said, he's only a messenger. Mike Bara, news update. Another contact, I'm not going to tell you which one, but he had a long talk with his top guy. His top guy is linked to the US Treasury. He is not an employee of the US Treasury. However, he has sat in meetings where very important people have attended. I'll let you figure out who that might be. This is what he said, and I'm going to relate it pretty much verbatim. The next 10 days we will see the following, and not in any particular order, so we don't know what comes first, although we all suspect Iraq goes first. But here's what you can expect in the next 10 days. According to this contact, gold-backed US money, Iraqi dinar goes first, Dong goes, bonds go, QFS is initiated, Jazzara goes, Medbeds go, and you can also throw into that Bolivar, Zim Agro, Zim, and I went back and got reiterated to me, everything goes, everything, and when it goes, it all goes. Posted this at 3:10 p.m. Remember, if you have Zim, if you've got humanitarian projects, you'll get 1-to-1 for 2 notes. So if you've got 200 T notes, wow, where in the world will you get 200 trillion? If you don't have humanitarian projects, you'll just get whatever the rate is. Whether there's a contract rate, you just have to ask politely. May I ask if there's a contract rate on the Zim? This was forwarded from Fred KOCH. TNT reports that our windows came and went. Even the window just before his show aired came and went. The next logical window hasn't expired because they're waiting Hawaiian banks to close so no manipulation can occur. The CBI didn't post a rate, so tomorrow is another day. Next window will be overnight tonight. Again, Tony said he's about to send everyone to the bank if they don't let this go. There's a bank scheduling people in for tomorrow after 8 a.m. He is hoping there will be millionaires and billionaires come tomorrow morning. He said Danny, his major dinar currencies holder, will be getting an excess of 50% interest on his invested monies. Tony was told what the minimum investment interest rate was going to be, 15%. He said we should get 20 to 25% easily. He's not really giving good advice to his people because Bruce, and I trust Bruce, from what I heard from one of our other leaders, is that Bruce has worked in the banking industry for a long time. That's why he has his contacts. And they've always talked about redemption centres, and he has spoken with the redemption centre leaders. And does he know that you have to set up a trust? Because when you're talking about millions upon millions upon millions of dollars, maybe billions, why do you want to have billions upon billions in a bank account where the bank can only cover $250,000 for that money? And ensuring that's the maximum they can insure. The other advice was that Bruce said you could still leave your funds in the QFS account, but you do need to set up a trust. The bank can set up the trust, but I don't trust banks because they'll make themselves the trustees. Anyway, you know what? You can download you go online and download irrevocable trust under common law. And all you need to do, because it's free, I mean, you search it online, you download it, and then once you're able to get your money, what we've been told is that the bank will set up a abstract trust you have 90 days to set up your trust, and then you'll have plenty of money, but then you've got to have an appointment with a common lawyer. You look online for a common lawyer, or you can go online to download, search for irrevocable trust under common law, print it out, and then choose your trustees, and then just go see a justice of the peace. All they want to see is the page where you sign. Tamara, LANDRENEAU. I'm listening to TNT Tony right now. It's 5:19 p.m. East Coast America. He said that the rate is going to be $6 to start for the dinar and go up to $8 and something, then it will drop down to where it's going to stay. But a lot of people get really annoyed when they talk about rates because anything can happen on that day. There might be too many people doing it at the same time and then the system crashes. Not that we want that to happen, but expect the unexpected. He also said the dong will be starting at $4 and something. He said don't miss your window by waiting too long to try get a higher rate. He said that one bank in America is telling the people to come in an hour before the bank opens tomorrow morning, which they open at 9. He's telling him to come in at 8 a.m. to exchange. And from Tamara also, TNT Tony already knows the second basket and the third basket, he said. Okay. From Fred, and so we wait, everything is ready to go. He said dinar will likely start at $6 plus and rise to 8 or 12, then drop to 4 something. Dong at $4, rupee at a similar rate with no word on Bolivar. Zim Agro check supposedly getting over 30 million to 100 billion to now being worth 50 million per 100 billion. I can confirm 1,000,000% on what Mike Barra's source said. God bless everyone. Wolverine. Forwarded from Wolverine. 30% of whales have received their payment orders. It's actually happening. We are nearly there, guys. God bless you all, Wolverine. And this is from Tamara, LANDRENEAU. I just finished listening to Freight 26, and he had a lady on named Joy that called in. She works for him on his team, gathering intel and watching the chat to keep it clean. Joy said that she had received a call from her banker, her wealth advisor, and he said that he will see her this week. She told him she has dong, and he asked her, do you have dinar too? She said, yes, I do. He said the dinar and dong will go together. He said, I will call you in a couple of days and we will make your appointment to come in this week. And this is from Wolverine. Like I said to you guys before, listen to Wolvie, he knows. In 2023, members of Congress had higher returns by far on their stock investments than the best investors on Wall Street. How is that possible? Harry said it best. You can't get rich in politics unless you're a crook. Harry S. Truman. Term limits for US Congress. The US will impose tariffs on 7 countries from August 1st to address trade deficits. Bangladesh 35%, Indonesia 32%, Bosnia and Herzegovina 30%, Tunisia 25%, Serbia 35%, Cambodia 36%, Thailand 36%. So apparently the final date of 9th of July has been changed to August the 1st. Well, but I don't know if that has any bearing to do with the RV. I don't think so, because what we've heard is that the banks are ready. Redemption centres are ready. So we just have to see. Mind you, that bloody Sudani hasn't even made an announcement of the dinar rate, but the banks have the rate. Oh, we just wait.
Hey guys, how are you? Okay, I just received a message. All countries, every single country on this planet, and they laughed and joked, including the made-up ones in the movies, have medbeds. They are ready to go. They are politically sorted out. They are ready to go. Every single country, their medbed centres, and every country on the face of this planet, every single centre is ready to go. Fully stocked, fully staffed. They're all on high alert for those notifications for the redemption appointments, and they are ready. Fully ready. So there's no country that does not have a medbed centre. I'm being told that security will be very tight and very strict. NDAs for the people using the beds before they're announced to the public will be very strict. All treatment will be, if you need counselling or anything before, that will happen. There's no shortcuts. Everything is going to be on board, fully supported, fully free, from travel to accommodation to food. no processing fee, no admin fee, no treatment fee, no nothing. They are ready to go. So it looks like, from all the intel that I've been receiving this morning and hearing on the grapevine, it looks like we are to go at not just in any day, but in any hour. Okay, that's what I'm hearing. Okay, so yeah, just take it with a grain of salt and stay ready. And yeah, enjoy. Okay, bye.
FBI Director KASH Patel's girlfriend works for PragerU, which is an Israeli Zionist front. Is this why they blocked the release of the Epstein files? PragerU, Marissa Street, CEO of PragerU and host of Real Talk. Marissa Street, CEO of PragerU, was born in Los Angeles and moved to Israel at a young age, where she completed her primary education and served in Military Intelligence Unit 8200 of the Israel Defense Forces. She returned to Los Angeles to earn her bachelor's degree in business and economics and her master's degree in education and non-profit management. It's got here Alexis Wilkins. Who's Marissa Street? Oh, she's a CEO. I see. The reason the FBI wouldn't let the Epstein client list come out in court is because if they did, their blackmail would no longer be useful, and the CIA would lose their control over all the powerful people they spent decades setting up. Julian Assange. This was forwarded from Ginger's Liberty Lounge. Ginger. Sweet Kelly Girl on X, posted 12:18 a.m. 7/7/25. They vanished because it tied them to it. Pam Bondi was a lawyer for Pfizer. Her first husband was a lawyer for the Red Cross. Remember the Red Cross, especially in Haiti. Where were the houses that they were going to build? From memory, they only built one. Where did all that money go to? Who set up Red Cross? Follow the money. Rothschilds. In United Way, her first husband went to Epstein Island. They were connected to CT. Bondi was also a lobbyist for Qatar. So all in all, they can't afford for the truth to come out because they are in the web that has been woven. Ariel comments, brilliant comment here. You are absolutely right. Ariel also posted that Pam Bondi, KASH Patel and Dan Bongino worked for Barack Obama administration. Makes you wonder why they're keeping the Epstein files delayed. Justice system still compromised. SSDD, same shit, different day. 7/7/25. The new earth doesn't arrive from the sky. It begins within, in the quiet shifts, the healed wounds, the reclaimed truth. The outside changes after you do.